Good morning everyone, and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video we will be making some dinner rolls, and I will also be sharing the recipe with you in the description, so stay on the lookout for that as well. We're just going to get started here, and I am first of all just beating up a couple eggs here in my Bosch Mixer, getting those beaten up before we add in our scalded milk. I had done this off camera, just heated up some milk to scalding temperature, and then I let that cool off, of course, before adding it into our mixer. And then off to the side I'm just adding a little bit of water, my yeast, and then a little bit of sugar. Mix that together before we add that to our mixture here in the mixer. And then we're going to just stir that up really good, get everything combined, and then we are ready for our flour. And I will put in the recipe again, like I said, but oftentimes I kind of just go by how the dough looks and feels as far as how much flour that I add. You do want these somewhat sticky, but not so sticky that you can't handle them, because you want to be able to work with it a little bit later then. So we're just going to add in our flour, get everything mixed up and kneaded really well. And this is a fairly small batch of dinner rolls, so I'm going to need to scrape the sides here and make sure everything is well combined. Once they are all mixed up, I'm going to put a little bit of oil in a small bowl, and then we'll go ahead and just kind of rub that around the edges. This is basically just so the dough doesn't stick to our bowl, and it kind of makes it a little more easy to handle if you have a little oil on your hands to get it out of the bowl. So now we just need to get the dough flipped around and get everything coated with that oil, and then we will cover it with some clear wrap just to let it set. This needs to rise, and so we're just going to put this on the top, and then we'll set it aside to let it rise. And often people ask me how long I let my dough rise, so I thought I would kind of give you some timelines. So it was almost 9 o'clock when I was done with the dough. While that was rising, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of clean up here, unload the dishwasher, and then just kind of get my mess put away from mixing up the dough. Alright, and once everything was cleaned up, I realized I hadn't really eaten anything yet, so I'm going to go ahead and just make me an omelette. I'm using some oversized eggs that we got from a friend here locally. They're like the big double yolkers, so it's a really big egg. So I'm only using one of those for my omelette base, and just my small pan here. And then we'll just add in some salt, and then I often just add in my bacon right into the raw egg. That way it can kind of cook into the egg. And then I'm just on the side here just adding kind of whatever I have in the fridge. I just kind of go through the fridge and just get out whatever looks good to me that morning. I'm adding in some salami and then also some jalapenos. And if you remember, I canned these jalapenos myself. If you want to watch that video, head down to the description. I'll try to link that for you down there for you. And then after I'd flipped the egg, I'm going to add in my toppings here on the 1/2. And we'll turn the other half over upon itself and then just flip it until everything is nice and melted. For toppings, I'm just adding some of my homemade salsa and then on the side just some yogurt. So that is going to be my breakfast. I'm going to go ahead and eat that, and then we'll head back to the bread here in a little bit. Alright, so now it is almost 10:30. And I'm going to punch the bread, the dinner rolls down. It had risen about an hour and a half approximately, so we're just going to punch this down and then let this rise again. So now it is 11:45 and the bread is looking like this again. It has risen really nicely once again, so now it is ready to put out. And I'm just going to put it out here on the counter, and then I usually weigh my dinner rolls just so that I get them all the same, and I'm weighing them out to 2 ounces each. Now these are relatively small. You can definitely go a little bit bigger if you want yours a little bit larger, whatever size that works for you. So I'm doing 2 ounces each and just weighing out each one. And once you get the hang of it, how much dough you need to cut off for each one, it really doesn't take that much longer to weigh them all. I don't think anyways. It goes pretty fast. And I think if I remember correctly, this batch made almost 5 dozen. So if you make them just a little bit larger, it would probably be around 4 dozen. Alright, so now we're going to roll them, and I just roll them in my hand here until they're nice and smooth all the way around. This is kind of a learning curve to getting them rolled like this. Here's a little bit of closer shot, a little bit slowed down a little bit, so maybe you can kind of see what I'm doing here. It's a little hard to see it until you actually just try it yourself to get them rolled up nicely. So on one sheet pan, there will be 2 dozen. And then once the dough has risen, we'll of course preheat the oven before we put them in. And then I am baking them. I can't remember exactly how long I baked them. I will look at that again and put it down in the description box for you to kind of give you an idea, but also kind of go by how they look. If they're nice and browned on the top, just starting to turn brown, they're probably finished. After I got them out, I of course spread some butter on top and then just brushed it around with my little brush here. And this keeps the tops nice and moist, and it keeps them from getting that hard crust on top. So here are the dinner rolls all done and looking really good. We're gonna of course have to try a couple. I cut one up that was nice and warm and perfect for just eating right away. And we're going to put some local honey on this one, and it was delicious. Now these also make perfect little slider buns if you're making like little sandwiches, mini sandwiches. They're perfect for that, for kids. If you have a big gathering, a party or something like that, I love them for that as well. I'm going to be packaging these in my bread bags, 6 per bag. This is kind of the right amount for us, like for a meal or whatever, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get these packaged and then put them in the freezer for later. They freeze really well as well. So that's what we're going to do with ours. I hope you love these as much as we do, and let me know if you tried them. That is going to be it for today, and I hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye.